And today I'm here with.
Shaha from LOGISTICAL. We are an IT company increasing its efficiency of trucks in Japan.
Why did you decide to start a business here in Japan?
Well, I've been living in Japan for a long time. While graduating university, I found a really big problem existing in Japan in logistics. And I was really passionate to solve this problem. And I made a lot of research, made an interview with the clients. And after that, I said, like, I'm going to start a business in Japan.
Many people want to start a business in Japan. What's the step by step process that they can take?
So right now, I think there's a lot of opportunities for the people who start a business compared to the 5 years ago. Right now, from this year, I think the government has started a startup visa for 2 years.
Mm.
I actually got my startup visa also 1 year, 2 years ago, and without any investment, without any experience, without any like actual startup, you can actually apply for this kind of a program for startup visa. You can get it and work on your startup visa startup for 2 years,
Wow.
and after that, you can actually like transfer to the business manager visa that I actually have right now.
How did you get a startup visa? It seems like it'll be difficult.
So I think when I was getting it, was kind of difficult because the number of people who applied was big, but the number of people who was accepting was not so much. Especially as there was only few municipalities around Japan, basically who used to give the startup visa, and one of them is the Shibuya I'm actually based in. But from this year, I think a lot of other municipalities also started this program, and I think it's way easier to actually get this startup visa right now.
What was the process like of getting that startup visa in Japan?
Uh, I think there was a few process. First of all, of course, there was application with the business plan, and what was surprising, it was it is possible to make it in English without any Japanese knowledge, and it was good. Even if I speak, I would say, really good Japanese, it was easier for me to apply in English. So the application form. After that, there's gonna be interviews by the government people and also some VCs who basically roast you during the interview, asking a lot of questions about your startup. And I think based on your replies with your presentation, they decide whether to actually give you this startup visa or not.
For people who get a startup visa in Japan, how can they live off of that visa?
So basically, this is a startup visa intended to be to figure it out how you kind of make a business in Japan. So during this process, the government will help you to incorporate a company, connect with the necessary companies with the introduction as a government. And but I think you should have some plan for yourself how you're gonna live. So I think they provide a lot of help, but it's up to the founders how actually to figure it out at the end of the day.
How did you start your tourism company here in Japan?
Uh, Basically, I started from social media. I started to post a lot of videos, posts about it, and I said like we help people to connect with the travel agencies in Japan. And out of a sudden, it's actually blown up. Right now, we have a 45,000 followers, and also we started our website. We started to get a lot of clients. It was actually started as a side hustle, but it's actually turned into the real business after a while.
So how do you get money from that?
So we basically, when people wants to travel and need a tour guide and transportation services, we connect them with a bilingual tour guides, transportation services. If they need let's say, the Japanese experiences like tea ceremony or kimono, we have a connection. We have a people we work with, and we get a like basically provides the services for them.
So you connect them to the tour providers and then you get a percentage off of that.
Uh, Basically, yes, and we're slowly starting to make it our own tour guides as well.
And then how do customers find you?
We on a regular basis post on social media to get a clients. People find it. I think it's one of the beauty of the social media. Was a zero mark. I wouldn't say zero marketing, but it's like the free marketing for you to reach out to the clients around the world. We post the videos about the travel, and people reach out to us from there. Recent, a few months ago, we started our own platform to get to sell directly to the clients, and people find out Google. book us and get us their services.
So in the video, do you say, "Hey, we have a tour company, book with us"? How do they know to contact you to actually book a tour rather than just seeing you as a regular creator?
Think the way we put marketing is that not a directly selling, just I think it's one of the ways of marketing to work with us is that we give the value upfront to people without directly selling, and we have information on our bio that we are actually travel like travel experience providers, and we can just like regular post any like content about Japan. People come to our platform, see that we are a tour provider, reach out to us, book from our website, contact us. They will have a different funnels. And recent we also have other channels of getting clients. Like we started to work with a lot of travel agencies in other countries. We have a travel agency we work from Portugal, Philippines, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia.
But how are you working with them when they have nothing to do with Japan and you can't create content about those countries?
Uh, in terms of the other travel agencies, I think they always have a clients to send to Japan, and they don't have a people in Japan that can provide the services. And they usually work with different companies. As basically, when they have a clients that comes to Japan, will help them to basically coordinate in Japan and gives them a plans. We give them like the whole tour package where they can plan their tour with us.
What are some of the misconceptions that foreigners have about starting a startup in Japan?
I think one of the things I think a lot of people get wrong about Japan is that unlike the US, where people are, I think, result oriented, where they want to get a results as soon as possible. While in Japan, I think people are more long term and relationship oriented. So basically, with my startup, when I go to the people to meet our clients, the big companies, they usually treat us as a long term partners. So in the first couple meetings, they want to get to know us personally, knowing what is our background, who we are, what is our motivation, and then slowly start to talk about the business. A lot of people may think is actually the uh, kind of conventional way of doing as a process are super slow,
Mm.
but to my understanding is actually super needed. And once the Japanese company decide to work with you, they are super loyal. I really think the Japanese companies, Japanese clients are one of the loyalest kind of customers companies in the world. So and they are long term oriented. They always think about what is going to happen after 10 years, 5 years.
You started a startup here in Japan after graduating from college. Can you provide everyone here the step by step process to do that?
I think, first of all, it is better to plan everything in advance, of course. I didn't plan everything after my graduation. I planned everything actually before that. So it is always better to make a plan. What is your startup businesses? I think right now, as I said, there's a Japanese government have a startup visa, which everyone can apply. I think even while being a student as well. So they can actually apply for that, get their visa, and I think the government also can help them in a lot of processes. Uh, Basically, as I said, like plan, apply for the startup visa, get the startup visa, and slowly start to work with the companies. I think one of the easiest way to start a company and actually to move fast is actually find a problem that actually everyone feels it,
Mm.
so that uh, you can move fast. A lot of people find a startup, then start to figure out what they do, which I think they are doomed to failure from the day one.
How did you discover your startup idea in Japan?
As I said, like participated in that boot camp for students as a teach about a startup. As this boot camp, we had a step-by-step process how to actually figure it out the problem. So in our case, it was basically talk with the people we care about. So
How did you know those people?
uh, those are different ways to contact. In the beginning, I think it was mostly mainly cold calls and
Mm.
introduction by people. So, for example, we started to help people in Japan to move. We reach out to a lot of Facebook groups that we are doing this
Mhm.
kind of business. Is there anyone who wants to get an interview? We want to quickly ask about their experience moving in Japan, and also did the same thing with the moving companies, asking them why they don't have a English support, why they don't provide services that's suitable for foreigners. What is the problems they feel? And after hearing their problems, we come up with a solution that suits their problems. I think basically this is how it works.
What are some of the challenges that foreigners have when starting a startup here in Japan?
Uh, I think there's a lot of one of the main things is the language, definitely. Even if I says there's a lot of English support given by, for example, the government, at the end of the day, we live in Japan and a lot of people don't speak as a language. And I think that one of the biggest challenges they have is the language barrier. But I think this is actually getting way better with the Japanese government initiatives. Second challenge, I would say getting the as I said, business mindset not correctly. As I said, Japanese people are oriented to plan in for long term, but a lot of foreigners came from countries where they plan for 1 year, 2 years. They are speed based. They need to move fast. They treat people not as a long term investment, and this usually reflects in the ways they talk and communicate with people. And I think Japanese people don't like this kind of a communication. So it is for them, it is better as best to have a first personal connections and plan in advance. And I think there's a lot of super small details Japanese people care about. It could be the emailing culture. It could be the how you introduce yourself, how you talk to them. So this is things I think a lot of founders in Japan actually made incorrect. And the third one I think is not only Japanese founders, but pretty in general the every founders in the world. They fell in love with their solution with their company, even if it's not working. So I think the being agile and like being able to change your idea, just to being able to get a feedback and change the way you think easily is actually one of the biggest problems a lot of founders feel. And I think one of the problems sometimes I feel myself, this is like being agile enough.
Mm. Shah, thank you very much. I appreciate it.